Hey everybody, welcome back, and it's another episode in the Dark and Mysterious Journal. Alright, so last week we completed this cute little envelope, which we included a notepad inside and some nice printables and gel prints to decorate. And I was just looking through, and to be honest, I think we only have a couple more sessions before the journal is finished. Now today I want to show you a really simple way, but effective way of making some pockets. And like a lot of things that we've looked at over the last few weeks, this can be adapted to any theme of journal that you happen to be doing. I happen to be doing a kind of a dark, mysterious one at the moment. You can adapt this to anything depending on the paper that you use. Now, I was playing with these woven paper hearts recently for a card in the Full Deck Challenge, which is run by Shanuki Art. And I was playing with these in miniature. But the thought suddenly occurred to me that actually these make really cool pockets, or at least they could do. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to take this idea of the woven heart and I'm going to turn it into a pocket for the junk journal. So without further ado, let's get going. Right, I am on a mission to use up gel print scraps brayer off sheets at the moment. So I've pulled out a few of those which I think are in colours that would go with my journal. And I'm going to cut some of these to the right size. Now, to make this size heart, and you can take your reference from my hands there, you will need 2 strips of paper, which are 7.5 inches by 2.5 inches. So I'm going to go and cut some of those, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to put the hearts together. Okay, so I've cut a few strips here to give me some options. I've got the colourful gel print ones. I've also cut a couple of plainer ones to go in with it, because what you need is that contrast to get the woven look. So the next thing to do is to choose 2 that will go together. And I think I've got this one, which is quite detailed, and this one, which is much more plain. Yeah, I think I'm going to put these 2 together. So let's work on these 2 to start with. Now the first thing to do is to fold them in half lengthwise. And once you've done that, you need to round the corners. Now I happen to have this, which is a half-used roll of parcel tape, and I'm just going to line that up, and that is going to just enable me, I'm sorry if my head is in there, that's just going to enable me to round off those corners nicely. I don't know whether you can see that. Now to get the 2 the same, I'm going to stack those up and just follow that curve around. There we go. Now, next thing is you want a ruler and you want to measure 2 3/4 inches up. We just double check that measurement. Yep. So you're measuring up 2 3/4, and you want to make a mark just round about 2 3/4 mark. And again, you can do this with the two held together. And what you're aiming for here is 4 strips. So if you find roughly the middle, now you can measure this. If you find roughly where the middle is, now I'm pretty sure you won't be able to see those marks, but I can. What you want to do is to cut up as far as those marks you've made at the 2 3/4 inch measurement, and then you're going to cut each piece in half again. And these don't have to be exact. If you like things exact, you can measure them, but actually I've always just eyeballed them, to be honest. Okay, there's your 2 pieces. Now this is where the fun starts. Take one in one hand, one in the other, and you want to go just separating this out. That's that. I want to go through the first one, over the second one, through the third one, and can be a little bit fiddly, and over the 4th one, and then just slide it down. So there you can see that's your first one. Now your second piece needs to go in the opposite way. So this first one need to go over, and then through the next one, over and through the last one. Again, just shuffle it down into place. And you just continue doing that with all of your strips, making sure that each one does the opposite to the last one, so that you achieve that woven look. Now, depending on the thickness of the paper or the card that you're making these out of, sometimes it is a little bit fiddly, and you just have to just sort of wiggle the pieces around a little bit to get them to go together. And you can see there that that one's popped out of the middle, so let's put that one back in. Okay, last one. Oh. And you'll be surprised once you get that last one in and you've wiggled it around so that it sits square at the bottom here, they're actually quite sturdy and won't pull apart. And there you go. So that's all there is to it. And what you will see is that this makes a lovely pocket. Now this one happens to be made from paper, so I wouldn't be putting anything too heavy in there once I stick it in, but I'm going to make another one, and we'll make it from some slightly thicker, got some pieces here which are slightly thicker card and thick paper. So I'm going to do exactly the same, and I'll speed it up just so that you can follow along. Okay, as you can see, it sometimes does take a little bit of manoeuvring and manipulating to get those last ones in, but I hope you agree, well worth the effort. Now, you can make this with double-sided paper, in which case your insides are going to look pretty as well. Mine, as I say, is partly gel prints. I don't mind that white look inside, but if you do want to just take those edges off or just take the white, you can grab your ink pad and just gently do those top bits which you're most likely to see. Now, as I say, this is sort of a dark, mysterious, grungy journal, so I'm not too worried. Just going to take the white off the edges there, and again, you could have done this before you put them together. In fact, you could do anything. You could paint the inside of your paper if you wanted to. You might have some pretty double-sided scrapbook paper that you want to use up. Alright, now this paper one, I'm just going to do the edges. The other thing you can do if you really want to, and I'll try and show you with this one, is if you grab a piece of paper, you can draw around your heart. There we go. Let's test it. Yep, that's going to work. Have your glue stick. Bit on my glue stick there. And then just slide this in. Now you're going to find that you get a little bit sticking up there. Press it all the way down inside. Grab your scissors. And you can just trim that off to fit. And of course you can do that with both sides if you want to. And I might well do that with this one because, as I say, this is just paper. And by lining it like that, just need to be careful not to cut your things. There you go. By lining it like that, you are giving it some extra strength as well. So I'm going to do that to the other side of this one, and then we'll come back and see how we're going to put these into our journal. All right, so I've lined the inside of that one, both sides, and I've just inked around the edges. Okay, so where are we going to put these in our journal and how are we going to put them in? And I think, as I said at the beginning, it's nearly done, this journal. This was the page I was thinking about. And I think, now, with these pockets, you can either put them this way and have them up like that, or you can put them on an angle. And I think I'm going to put this one just tucked under there like this, so that things can just slip in there, almost like a tuck spot. Now, I'm debating whether I want to put anything on here before I stick it in. I've got a bit of a hidden paper clip there, which is catching something the other side. Bit of a hidden paper clip, and I think I'm going to leave this actually because it could be journaling space, or it could be that other things are tucked in here. So I don't feel the need to decorate every page in a journal, but I'm just going to tuck this one under the edge there so that we've just got a little tuck spot. So let's find some glue. There we go, that's better. There we go. And I'm very simply pop that on. Now, what I have noticed, I've just got a couple of pencil marks on the edge there, so I'm just going to take those off. There we go. And I've got this lovely scrap of gel print here, which I think if I use that red bit, I might make into a nice little card to pop in there. I'll leave that for a moment. Let's pop this other one in. Now, this is more in the purple section. I think this might be a good place for this one, and I might pop this one up this way, and then we can pop things in like that. Now, let's have a look. Oh, or no, I think we'll go on here. Now I'm going to pull this page out for a moment. Because I want to put something else on there, I think, before I stick this on. Alright, so I've had a rummage around and I've actually found this piece of sari silk, and this is actually the middle page of my signature. So what I'm going to do is to actually cut this and carry it right the way around, because it's going to look okay on this page too. So I'm going to cut it about there. It will need to be a little shorter. What I'm wanting to achieve is where these ends are frayed, and I may just fray these a little bit more actually. What I want to achieve is for this to just sit over the top of that, so that can be cut off like that. There we go. I'll give this a little twist before I put it in. I'm going to use that same glue, stick that end down there. And my idea is that just overlaps and we've got those lovely frayed edges there. Alright, so I'm just tucking all those bits in with the glue, hopefully. I'm just going to hold that for a moment. Right, my thought was a button, and I'm going to put this here, and what I have is some super glue, which I'm not a massive fan of, but it does occasionally serve a purpose. Now I'm just going to hold that for a moment. We'll just hold it there. Okay, so I'm going to pop this on here. Now I've just noticed a little bit of white on the edge of this one, so I'll put more ink around the edges. There we go. And I think I might turn this round. Oh. Yeah, I might turn it round that way actually, so that the darker colour and you've got the contrast. Now you can just see a little bit of the white there, so just going to manipulate this a bit. There we go. There we are. Okay, so let's get some glue on the back of here. Yep, that is the right way around. And there we have our pocket. Right, let's put that back in to the journal. And as I say, that happened to be the middle page in the signature. So we've just got that extra band around there. You could use that to tuck things behind if you wanted to. But also, whilst I was rummaging around, I came across this, which was actually sent to me by a lady called Natasha in a maker's swap, and I thought that might pop in there very nicely. There we are. So we can add that in, and I also found this one, which I'd made some time ago. It's a little notebook. There's some music paper, and if we flick back to our previous pocket there, I think that will tuck in there very nicely. There we go. So 2 pockets today, folks, made with a simple woven heart. I hope that's been inspirational. I'm sure that you can think of other uses for them as well. So we've got one there and a purple one there. So 2 more pages in our journal done and dusted. So I think we've probably got one more session to finish off the last couple of bits in our journal, and then we can put it all together and do a flick through. Now, I'm actually away from home next week, so we may not, there is unlikely to be videos from me next week. I'm taking a little bit of a break, but I'll be back the following week and we'll get this journal finished off. So for now, thank you very much for watching, folks. Ka kite anō.